Today we have with us Representative Bud Hulsey. Representative, can you tell us what district you're from and what your committee assignments are?
Yes, sir. And thanks for the opportunity. I'm out of District 2, which is most of Kingsport and about half of Sullivan County, Bluntville, Rock Springs, right in there. And then I'm the chairman of Criminal Justice Full Committee, and I'm on the Criminal Justice Sub, and I'm on the Agriculture Sub and Agriculture Full as well, and Calendar and Rules.
That seems to be the most important committees up there to me. That's just my thoughts on it, but we appreciate your time today. And so I've got a few questions. If you don't mind, we'll just run through these right quick.
You bet.
Okay. What are your thoughts regarding the need for the special session that Governor Lee has demanded?
Well, the governor's got a good heart, but I don't really want to come down here 4 months before this regular session starts, and that's part of my argument. Is that to me it's unnecessary. I don't think you can accomplish anything really substantial when 4 months before you're going to be coming in session anyway. I get troubled too at the reports that we've had of the training ground going on down here for anarchy and the Marxists and the anarchists, and of course their concern is not the death of 3 children shot in that school or the 3 adults that got shot. That's not what they talk about in that clandestine tape that came out of there. There's no mention of that anywhere. What they are drilling in people's heads at their training is to establish or do or commit as much chaos and disorder and anarchy as you can, cause many problems as you can. And that really troubles me because they're gearing up for that, and that's what, to me, this whole thing is going to end up being is some form of a circus, and that really bothers me. I wish that we would just address what needs to be addressed when we go back in session, but of course he's the governor and he can do it, and so I've got to be there.
Okay. At this time, what are your thoughts regarding these red flag laws or extreme risk protection orders that Governor Lee is seeking to allow the government to seize guns from individuals who presently can legally own and possess them?
Well, what I've always said and the position I've always had is I raise my hand and swore to 7 million people in this state that I would always defend their unalienable rights by defending and protecting the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee, and that's what I tend to do. You know, that's red flag is a violation not just of the Second Amendment; it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment on its face. For law enforcement or under color of law, come kick your door in and come steal your property without a warrant, and they cannot get a warrant because you haven't broken any law. So without a warrant or without search by consent or without search incidental to an arrest or any other legal searches or ways to search, that this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure. So I can't go down any of those roads, and I can't endorse anything like that, not in uphold my oath. So I can't support that.
What alternatives to a red flag or ERPO law do you think should be considered by the legislature?
Well, you have to evaluate what the risk is. What's the threat? The threat's not the gun. The threat's the crazy person. So you either have to expand what we have now, and and I've done this before in law enforcement before, 36 years in police work. If somebody articulates that they want to kill somebody, they want to kill themselves, by law now you can make it's not an arrest, but you custodially take somebody to be evaluated. And once the evaluation shows, these people got some real mental problems, they're sent to where we live. That's the downside to it. It's a short facility. About 5 days is the maximum term you'd be in there, but they do begin to address the mental health issues that you have. Now, you got a problem too, with that whole side of it, is the ACLU came in here several years ago and sued everybody and did away with institutions where you could take people for help who would fit the criteria of the folks we're talking about. And it was long-term facilities where they get the kind of treatment that they needed. And of course, all those, there's very well maybe some around Nashville, I've heard, but up where I live, there's no long-term facilities. There is private ones, but there is no state supported facility where I live. But we are going to have to look at that as a possibility, to have a long-term facility where people who are the threat, not the gun's not the threat, the people that we can put them in a facility where they can get the treatment they need and deal with the threat. You know, I'm flapping my gums a lot, but sociologists used to say that 80 or about 70% of your population is basically normal, 20% is abnormal, 10% is extremely abnormal. If that's true, you know, you're dealing with a whole lot of extremely abnormal people. And the problem with that is you can't rely on the psychology community to fix all those folks. I don't think there's enough of them to go around. That doesn't mean that everybody who's extremely abnormal is a threat to themselves or somebody else, but there's a lot of folks. We're going to have to answer those questions on how you deal with that.
Yeah. One of the things that I have said a number of times over in West Tennessee, we used to have Western State, which was a state mental hospital, that if a person met the criteria that you're talking about, then they could be placed there, and it's an involuntary thing. They're actually taken into custody and put there.
Yeah.
But they've closed that down. We don't have that anymore. And so what we've got pretty much is these folks that would be in that situation are homeless now. They're on the streets, and we're dealing with them. The state's going to have to start taking a look at that. We've got the surplus, and I'm not trying to preach, but I would think that the legislature could take a look at that and possibly then lead the governor towards assisting them and putting us in a position to deal with those issues better than we are right now.
Well, I think that's the answer. And again, I think that takes care of the threat the right way, in the constitutional way, and without violating your oath. But that's, to me, the arena we're going to have to look at.
Well, Representative Hulsey, we appreciate so much your time coming in today. I thank you very much. I know you're a very busy individual, but we're trying to let the folks see what the representatives who actually have some skin in the game for deciding these issues, what their thoughts are. And so we very much appreciate your time, and we hope that you will take this good common sense thought process into the special session if it occurs.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.